Welcome back. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Tensor range from Nemo, a range of mats that offers an incredible weight to warmth ratio. The Tensor range represents Nemo's premium sleeping mats, so the mats that offer the best warmth to weight ratio. I think without further ado we'll get these unboxed and just go through the weights and the warmth available. Okay, so now they're unwrapped and unboxed, let's have a chat through the mats. So we've got two options available here in front of us. We've got the all season and we've got the extreme. We'll start by having a quick chat about the all season and talk about its weight and warmth. So this boasts an R value of 5.4, which makes it an all season, 4-season mat, especially for use here in the UK and certainly down south where we get it a little bit warmer. This will see you through spring, summer, autumn, winter, no problems at all. What makes this mat so impressive is boasting that 5.4 R value with a weight of just 440 grams in the regular fit, which is really impressive when it comes to a warmth to weight ratio. If, however, you're looking to do something a little bit more extreme with your sleeping mat, then you might want to look at the extreme. As the name suggests, this is the sort of top end mat when it comes to warmth and weight ratios. This boasts an 8.5 R value, which is incredibly warm and is just 554 grams in the regular configuration. So two really impressive mats when it comes to that warmth to weight ratio and perfect for anyone that's looking for a really lightweight but warm sleeping pad. For most people, the all season will probably suit you best, but if you're looking to do some really extreme things, then the extreme might be better for you. The next thing to discuss is the fact that they come in a variety of different widths and lengths. So in front of me here we have the extreme, which is currently in the regular wide fit. And we have the all season, which is currently just in the regular fit. The regular fit from Nemo is a rectangular shaped mat. Both of these are also available in a regular wide. They're available in a mummy shape and they're also available in a long wide as well. So plenty of different options just so you get the right fit and the right preference for how you like to sleep. Some people prefer a rectangular mat, gives you a bit more space. Some people prefer a mummy mat because it saves a little bit on weight and also a little bit on pack size as well. So I think without further ado, we should get both of these mats inflated and go through some of the specs, but also what you get inside the bag. Okay, so we're going to start with the all season and we'll move on to the extreme in just a second. What we'll do is we'll start by unpacking it and just chatting about how it fits into the bag and what comes with the mat itself, and then we'll get it inflated and talk about some of the features as well. So we've got a nice drawstring bag here, which is easily big enough to fit the mat in. It's not like some of the other options available on the market where the bag is just a little bit too small for you to pack it away once it's been inflated a couple of times. This fits in here no problem, and to help with it going in each time, we also see a Velcro band around the mat. Some of you may choose to get rid of that just to save a little bit of weight, but to be honest, it's a really nice little feature, and once it's on, it makes getting the mat back into the bag really easy because the mat isn't spraying out or splaying out all over the place. So I think it's a useful thing to carry if you're not too worried about that extra few grams. In terms of the bag itself, like I said, a really nice fitting drawstring bag, but what's also important about it is it's got a little pocket inside, just here, which houses your repair kit. So there's a few little patches and things in there just in case you have any issues out on the trail. If you have a puncture or something, you can do a field repair while you're out there and then get it properly repaired when you get back. There's enough in there to suffice for a couple punctures. And it can be kept in this little pocket here so you don't forget it, which is really nice. Last thing you want to do is have a puncture out on the trail and realise you have forgotten your repair kit. If we pop the Velcro off, we'll also see that included with the sleep mat is one of the Vortex pump sacks from Nemo, which is a really nice pump sack which allows you to inflate the sleeping mat without using your mouth. Obviously, if you use your mouth, you're blowing a load of moisture into the mat, which in really cold conditions could potentially freeze and damage your mat, but it also could turn into mold over the years. So it's really good to use a pump sack, and it's important to use that pump sack the right way. To help you with that, Nemo have included instructions on how to use it on the outside of your pump sack so that you never forget. So I think without further ado, we'll get this mat inflated and then we'll go through the specs. Okay, so you'll have just watched a little time lapse of me inflating this, and to be honest, a really nice, easy process. Was really impressed by the pump sack You can sometimes get some pump sacks that just aren't that good, but this seemed to work really, really well. It took in a lot of air and made this much easier to pump up. And another thing that's I think is really important, that the connection with the pump sack and the mat was really good. It didn't just pop off randomly and annoy me, which I have had with other pump sacks, where you're pumping up and it just keeps popping off because you're putting obviously quite a lot of pressure through the connection point with the mat and the pump sack. So really good overall, and a nice quick process. We'll put how many sort of sacks of air it took to inflate the mat on the screen now for you, just to give you a rough idea. Obviously I wasn't perfect every time, so a pinch of salt with that, but it gives you a rough idea of how many it's going to take to get this mat up and running. Okay, so let's start with the outside, and because we've just pumped it up, let's talk about the valve to start with. Nemo are using a really nice low profile valve, which also allows for micro adjustments, so you can adjust the mat to the perfect firmness for you. Some people prefer their mats a little bit harder, some people prefer a little bit softer. It depends a little bit on how you sleep, and we'll come back to that in just a second. This is a one-way valve system, so you can open the first sort of door and you're met with the one-way valve system, so you can push air in using your pump sack, but air won't push out. If you push that closed, you've then got a second door below it. If you pop that open, it opens up into a nice big hole, which allows the air to escape the mat, helping for really easy deflation. It's nice to see a nice big valve opening, especially for getting air out of the mat. I don't know about you, but there's nothing more frustrating when you're packing away than if you can't get that last little bit of air out of your sleep mat. So having a nice wide opening is really beneficial. Moving on, but staying outside of the mat, we're met by a 20 denier fabric on the external side of the mat, so something that is nice and lightweight to keep those weights down, but durable enough to be used inside your tent with no problems. Then starting to talk about the actual construction of the mat. So we're seeing a 3.5 inch depth, so a nice thick mat, which gives you a really good level of comfort, especially important for those of you that are a side sleeper. So if you like to sleep on your side, then depth is really important, because if you're sleeping on your side, your hip can often, on thinner mats, touch the floor. So having the option to micro adjust the mat so you get the right amount of firmness to make sleeping on your side more comfortable, and the depth of the mat, it leads to a really nice, comfortable sleeping experience. So really nice to see, and it's great to see something a little bit deeper that's still got a really good weight to warmth ratio. The other thing to talk about is the space baffle construction. So that's the actual construction of the mat and how the baffles are constructed. And what they're doing with this type of construction is helping improve stability on the mat, but also helping distribute weight more evenly across the mat. That leads to a couple of things. The first thing is it means it's less springy, so you're less likely to be thrown off the mat. If you drift to one side in the night, you're less likely to be pushed off of the mat because of that construction. It helps lock you into the mat and stop you falling off of it. Obviously, if you just roll off of it, that's your own problem. The other thing that it does is leads to better weight distribution, so there's less likely for areas of body to sink lower than the rest of them. Where that's important again is if you're side sleeping, your hip is less likely to go push right down to the bottom and create a cold spot on the floor. So again, really considering the comfort of the mat. I think a lot of the time companies really focus on making sure they've got the warmest and the lightest mat, and they then forget that this needs to be comfortable as well. You need to be able to enjoy it. You want to be able to get into your camp and know you're going to have a really nice, comfortable night's sleep to get you ready for the next day. And Nemo have definitely thought of that. And then finally, the next thing to talk about is the insulation that they're using. So they're using something called thermo mirror, which there are 2 layers of in this model of mat. And what it is it's a suspended aluminium fabric, which helps reflect heat back up into your body, so the heat you're losing gets reflected back up to you to help keep you warm, but it also helps reflect cold air back down towards the ground as well. So it's a similar system to we've seen in some other sleep systems, but it's a really nice design, and what they've also managed to do is make it pretty quiet. So some of you may remember that certainly in previous years we've had quite noisy mats, which may not be so bad for you as a sleeper, but may not be the best thing for your camp buddy. But this is pretty quiet considering you're using a similar technology. I'll do a little test for you. I don't know how well the mic's going to pick it up, but realistically it's incredibly quiet. So as you can tell there, it has got a little crinkle to it, but it's nothing compared to what we have previously seen from other mat manufacturers, and realistically is more than quite enough to give you a good night's sleep and not irritate anyone else that's camping nearby. So that was a quick look at the Nemo all-season Tensor mat, a really good option for those of you that want a lightweight, warm, all-season mat for use inside the UK, but also in other areas as well. This will certainly see you through anything the southwest has to throw at you, and would also be good for Scottish winters as well. And then finally, but by no means least, we have the Extreme. Just as a reminder, it's an 8.5 R value with a weight of just 554 grams in the regular configuration. So an incredibly impressive mat from Nemo. In terms of unpackaging this, it is very, very similar to what we've just seen from the All-Star. So we've got a nice bag that's easily big enough to get the mat in and out of without any issues. We have our mat itself with that Velcro strapping on, which you can choose to keep or not use. And then we have our little pocket in the bag with our repair kit in there. In terms of the mat, we have got the regular wide here, so it will be a little bit longer to inflate just because obviously there's a little bit more space, but we're still getting that included pump sack with this mat as well. So very, very similar to what we've just seen from the previous model. Let's get this inflated and then we'll have a little bit of a chat about the similarities and differences in the mat. Okay, so just like previously, you'll have seen me do a little time lapse of inflating the mat. Again, a nice, easy process. We're seeing a lot of similarities with this mat in comparison to the other one, just because obviously they're part of the same range. So we'll just touch on those briefly, and then we'll talk about some of the differences as well. Like I mentioned, this is the regular wide, so it's a slightly bigger mat, and we will show you them next to each other so you can see that. So if you prefer a slightly wider mat, then going for that wide option's definitely something to look at. Starting with the valve, just like last time, we've got that nice one-way valve when it comes to putting the air in, which is in the first opening, and that is still able to do micro adjustments. If you want to make this mat softer, once you've got it nice and firm from the pump sack, you can do that by just simply pressing the valve, and we'll show you a close-up of that while this is playing. And then obviously if you open that second one, which we won't do right now, it will let all the air escape from the mat, meaning nice, easy, quick deflation. Continuing with the outside of the mat, we are met by a 20 denier top material, so something that's relatively durable but also really light. And then on the bottom, and I should have mentioned this for the other one, we are seeing a 40 denier material, so a slightly more durable material on the bottom, because that is the part that's going to be in more contact with rougher or tougher surfaces, things that might cause a puncture. So something just a little bit more durable but still lightweight. So 40 denier on the bottom there for you. The depth of the mat is exactly the same as what we've just looked at on the all season, with 3.5 inches. So a really nice deep mat, and again, perfect for those side sleepers. So if you're looking for a really comfortable mat for side sleeping, you should definitely check out the Tensor range. That extra depth just provides a little bit more comfort. And again, it sort of ties in with that option to make micro adjustments using the valve. So if you want to have a slightly softer mat, you've got the depth range to do that. Now let's delve into the mat itself, and that's where we start to see some changes and some things that aren't as similar to the All-Star. So this is using an apex baffle construction. What that is allowing Nemo to do is stack multiple layers of insulation evenly distributed to achieve the highest R value possible. These layers are made up of the mirror thermal technology that we've already discussed, so a reflective fabric which allows you to reflect heat back up into your body but also keep cold air at bay. To my knowledge, there are 4 layers of that within this mat, which is what's helping it achieve that really high 8.5 R value, while also still keeping that mat really light. Considering we're getting an additional 4 on that R value, and we're only gaining about, I think it's 100 grams, it goes from 440 with the all season to 554 with the extreme. That's a really impressive increase in warmth for not a massive increase in weight. Something that Nemo seemed to have really got right with this mat. In terms of other things that are sort of similar to what we've just looked at, is it's still incredibly quiet. I would go as far as to say it's actually quieter than the all season. I would imagine that's to do with the way that the thermal properties and the insulation is distributed, but that is even quieter than what we just looked at, and would without a doubt be perfect for sleeping with a buddy in your tent. It's not going to keep anyone up or annoy anyone within the night. It's a really impressive mat overall. So I think it's worth just chatting about who this mat is for, and it's a little bit tough. If you are going to be going into those extreme conditions, so places that are extremely cold, and having a warm night's sleep is your top priority, then this is definitely a good option to look at. As the name suggests, it is designed for extreme conditions. However, I would imagine there are a few people out there that maybe feel the cold at night and are a little bit nervous when it comes to a sleeping mat, and they just want to make sure they are warm enough. And with that weight to warmth ratio, you could consider carrying this instead of the all season if you're really concerned about how cold you're going to get. Some people would obviously like the mat that does it all. So if you want to buy one mat that will see you through anything the UK has to throw at you, then this would definitely be the mat to look at. Obviously there is a weight increase, but as we discussed, for the amount of warmth you're getting extra, it is minimal. Pack size a little bit bigger as well, but for the most part, an incredibly impressive mat. And Nemo have really done a great job on it. I'm incredibly impressed by that warmth to weight ratio. The pack size is fantastic, and also having a mat which is whisper quiet is incredibly impressive. So that was a quick look at the Tensor range from Nemo. We've covered the weights, the pack sizes, the R values, the different shapes and fits that these mats come in, and also some of the technology that goes into them as well. But if you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. We're always happy to answer any questions about this range, or even if you want to chat to us about this range compared to another mat you've seen online. As always, it really does help us if you like and subscribe. It means we can continue to make this content for you. But until next time, we'll see you around.